这个故事如果你听起来不累，那么你的听力水平在生活中是完全够用的。要持续提升英文，记得点击订阅按钮。我们开始吧。
You never know which small moment will be the one that finally stops you from standing back up. The phrase "the last straw" did not come from a book or a speech. It came from dirt roads, sore hands, slow animals, and people who had learned the hard way that every back has a limit. Long before factories and cities filled the land, most life moved at the speed of muscle. In villages across England, North Africa, and the Middle East, straw was part of daily survival. It was cut under the sun, tied with rough rope, and stacked higher than a man's head. Straw kept animals alive through winter. It kept rain off homes. It filled mattresses and fed fires. Nothing about it was light work. Animals carried the weight of this world. Donkeys, horses, mules, camels. Their days were simple and endless. Load, walk, unload, repeat. People depended on them, and because of that, people often asked too much. Imagine an old farming road, thin and uneven. Stones press through worn shoes. A man walks behind a camel, tapping the ground with a stick. The camel's back is already piled high with straw bundles, tied tight so they will not fall. Each step looks slower than the last. The animal's shadow stretches long in the low sun. The man is not cruel. He is tired. He has another field to clear and not enough daylight. He looks at the pile left on the ground and feels a familiar pressure in his chest. If he leaves it, it means another trip. Another hour. Another delay. He reaches down and grabs a small handful. Just straw. Dry, thin, light. He lifts it with 2 fingers and places it gently on top of the load. The camel takes one more step. Its legs shake. Its knees bend. The ropes pull tight. Then the animal drops to the ground, breath rushing out, eyes wide and still. The load has barely changed, but something inside has reached its end. No shouting fixes it. No pulling helps. The camel cannot rise. People saw this kind of moment again and again. They talked about it at wells, at markets, over quiet meals. They noticed how often collapse came not from the heaviest burden, but from the smallest addition. One more bundle. One more task. One more mile. The image stayed in their minds because it matched their own lives. A wooden shelf could hold tools for years, until someone added a small box of nails and the whole thing gave way. A cart could roll through town day after day, until one last sack snapped the axle. A man could work from dawn to dark for decades, until one morning his body refused to answer him. This is how the saying was born. Not as poetry, but as truth. The straw that broke the camel's back. It spread by word of mouth, carried by traders, farmers, soldiers, and travelers. Over time, the camel faded from the sentence, but the meaning stayed sharp. The last straw. By the time English was taking shape as a modern language, everyone knew what it meant. It was not about temper. It was not about weakness. It was about limits. Think of a small house in the 1700s. The roof leaks. The walls are thin. A family shares one table and very little space. The father works long hours. The mother mends clothes until her fingers ache. Children grow fast and eat more each year. They manage. They always manage. Then one winter night, cold air cuts through a crack in the wall. Snow drifts onto the floor. It is not the worst night they have known. But something breaks inside them. The mother sits down and cries, not because of the snow, but because of every winter before it. That crack was the last straw. This is why the phrase survived. It gave people a way to explain something that felt confusing and shameful. Why did I snap over something so small? Why did this tiny thing matter so much? The answer was hidden in the load. As cities grew and work changed, the phrase followed. In factories, men and women stood for hours, repeating the same motion until their arms burned. Wages were cut. Hours were stretched. Complaints were ignored. Then one rule changed. One break was taken away. One word was spoken with disrespect. Workers walked out, not because of that single moment, but because it was the last straw. In families, the story was the same. One promise broken after many kept. One harsh word after years of silence. One door slammed after countless quiet evenings. Outsiders saw the moment and judged it. Those inside knew better. The power of the last straw is that it tells the whole story in 4 simple words. It reminds us that strength is not endless. Patience is not empty space. Every person carries weight that others cannot see. There is also a warning inside it. If you only notice the straw, you miss the danger. The real threat is the load that keeps growing while no one speaks about it. History is full of moments like this. Empires did not fall because of one bad day. They fell after years of pressure. Communities did not break apart because of one argument. They broke after long silence. People did not give up because they were weak. They gave up because they had been strong for too long. Even now, the phrase lives quietly among us. It shows up at work, at home, in tired conversations late at night. Someone says it calmly, almost softly, but the words carry years inside them. And maybe that is why the story still matters. Because at some point, everyone becomes the camel on that old road. Everyone feels the rope dig into their back. Everyone hears the thought whisper, just one more. So when you hear the last straw, remember where it came from. Remember the animal that did not fall because it was fragile, but because it had carried enough. And ask yourself what you have been carrying, what you have been adding, and whether it is time to stop before something small becomes the moment that changes everything.
能以非母语者的身份专注学习到现在，这本身就是很棒的进步。真诚感谢你的观看。如果你觉得本期内容实用，点赞或留言让我知道你的想法，这对我持续创作非常重要。我们下期见。